Okay, our best bet here is to undo this panel, this cover plate panel. Because we've got to relieve the pressure of this binding. Oh, that's interesting. We're going to put these screws in the order they came out. Oh wow, look at that odd assortment right next to the main gear. This is a nice old-fashioned screwdriver. Got a nice handle to it. I think it was my dad's. Now, looks like there's one more. I figure this is a classy locomotive, probably from the 50s or 60s. Who knows if these are original screws or not? Notice this giant spring launched out. Good thing we caught it. Oh, I don't know if you caught that, but this spring goes in here and gives tension to this front truck. So now gotta hope that this panel lifts off. Ooh, brass. Why is she so tight? Wow, this is an interesting configuration, boy. Almost looks like the guy made it himself. Wow. We don't want to go crazy. We don't want to get these things out of alignment. Look at that. Get you a better view. Hopefully that was in focus. It's not really too crappy in here. I mean, this deserves a shot of remember, we got a serious binding problem here. We've got to alleviate it. Little coffee. Well, see, if we were to run it now, what would happen is this whole thing would pop out. But I can kind of cheat and just do this, right? And I can put one bolt. Now, one bolt would not be good enough for full operation, but it should be enough to keep everything in place. Power's on. Power at maximum. See what happens. Still binding. Gonna have to check the motor housing. Okay. have to see if there's something going on. Let's put another screw in here just to equal the tension. Sometimes weird things happen. Now this engine is worth the effort to save. That's another thing you got to think of. When you're doing all this stuff, you say, wow, it's going to take me so much time. You know, like, should you rewind the armature on a motor? And I say, well, only if the engine was, you know, spectacular and you couldn't get another motor to fit in that thing, because the amount of time you'd spend, it would be crazy. And of course, I shut the power off here. Can't expect a miracle. Yeah, she doesn't want to move. Yep. Starting to look like we might have to go inside. But it's not here. This is not the problem. It's something with the motor. At least it doesn't appear to be here. So I'm putting this back in. So I don't need to start losing pieces and all that stuff, you know. Cause new problems. Like, I know that spring is going to be not the easiest thing. The spring has to sit in this little round cup. I wonder who invented this scenario. Because there's not even something to hold the spring in there on the other side, which is unusual. This looks like this is improvised by this guy, man. This is a brass piece he welded on here. This guy was a freaking genius. He kit bashed this. Alright, we're dealing with a piece of art from a model railroader that we can't give credit to. We don't know who it is. This stuff wound up in a store. But it's fallen to my hands, so best I can do is try to deal with it in a reverential manner. Somebody put his heart and soul in this thing. Now the question is, how do I take this off? I can see down there, and there's the main gear, main worm. Is that thing? Let me just try something. Because it's so unusual to be so fluid in one direction and bind in the other. Makes me think the engine is off its housing. See that? It's trying to spin and it's not on the gear. Yeah, we gotta get in there. It's not gonna... Might be a minor thing, believe it or not. But the real question is, how do we get inside the housing? I think I'm gonna have to disengage the tender. I'll be back.